This is my planer that I use to take the lumber that I cut on my sawmill and, plane it down and finish it to where I can use it for projects. And, it puts out a lot of chips. So when I'm planing lumber, I have it go through this barrel right here. It comes in here, and then the dust collector pulls air out here, and then my dust collector is actually outside, and it just vents outside. But this catches all the planer shavings because they won't go through the dust collector. It'll stop it up. So, but this thing has a few shortcomings in that I can only usually get it about 2/3 full or something like that, because this port right here will back up. So what I'm going to do today is try to increase the capacity of this. So this started out as a Harbor Freight dust collector, and so I have this part off of it. And so I'm going to take these off, and I'm going to put this on there. And so that'll make the chips come in at a different angle. Rather than blowing down where it gets stopped up from the bottom, I think it'll swirl around a little bit and hold a little bit more. So I'm going to take those out, and I'm going to put this in here and adapt it. Alright, so I've got a metal cutting blade in my jigsaw here, and you need this one actually, I don't know how many teeth this is, I'm going to 17 to 24 teeth per inch. It's probably a little coarse for this because the sheet metal is so thin, but anyway, we'll just see how it does. But you also want to turn the speed of your motor down, kind of like that, because otherwise if you run it too fast you're going to burn up a blade when you're cutting steel. So here we go. Okay, so there's lots of ways to attach these two things together, and one of the easiest would have been to have, when I cut this out, to leave tabs in here that I could bend up and then attach to that, but I didn't want to have to cut around all that, so just kind of being lazy. And so what I'm going to do is took some heavy gauge sheet metal, I just cut it and bent it in some little L's. And so what I'm going to do is, up on the inside, I'm going to put these in and I'm going to rivet them, and I'm going to do 4 of them around. And so in order to do that, I need to punch some holes. And so what I'm going to do is, I've got this hole punch right here, and I'll put one of these in the description in case you're interested in buying it. I've had people ask about it before. And then you can just punch holes, because to drill holes in sheet metal like this is kind of dangerous because it'll grab and spin around and cut your fingers. But these punches work really well like that. Now you could also use screws, or you could drill holes, and you could use bolts. I'm going to actually rivet these in there. Okay, so now this part I'm going to have to drill out. These are 3/16 rivets, so I'm using a 3/16 drill bit. Alright, so I've got a piece of 3/4 MDF, and I've got it sitting over here upside down, and I'm just going to take a pencil on the inside and trace the inner circle. Okay, I think I can cut that. Okay, I couldn't stand it. I still didn't like that. So I got out my giant compass and just measured it and made me a nice circle to cut it with. I think you can still get these. If I can find it, I'll put it in the comments for you. But this thing will do a giant circle. This is like almost 20 inches and it's not even, that's probably halfway open. I keep saying comments, but I'll actually put it in the description. Alright, so let's see how we did. I'm kind of surprised. I thought I'd have to sand it down some or something. Okay, so we'll get that screwed in there. Okay, so I'm going to use these screws. These are made by Spax, I guess you call it. And they're for hardwood and MDF. And they say you don't have to pre-drill them. Now I'm going to pre-drill the steel because I'm thinking I would have to pre-drill that. But the nice thing about these is on MDF they tend to not, you know how it'll split the MDF usually when you drill in, especially into the end of it. So these do a good job of keeping that from happening. And I'll try to put these in the description if I can find them so that you can check them out if you want to. I think I got those at Home Depot. Okay, now this is going to be my connection, like what I had on the other one. Now, for any kind of dust collection system, to have this sharp of a 90-degree angle is not your best option. You'd be much better off with a long sweeping angle. I could also just come straight out of here and then cook my hose on, and my hose would give probably a better angle than this too. So that's what that'd be a better option than this, but this is what I'm going to do. Now, this is a hole saw kit that comes from Harbor Freight, and it's got a 4-inch in there, and I don't know what size these are, and then there's even a bigger one in there. And I have found these to work surprisingly well. Now, you're looking at a big diameter, so especially if you're drilling any kind of metal, you got to go really slow, but in wood or something like that. And the other thing that you'll find about these is when you're drilling in, if you're drilling in and it feels like it's not going anywhere, you need to stop and pull it up and clean these off. A lot of times, you'll probably see me do it during this. I'll bring it up and I'll run a stick around the edge and it'll knock all the sawdust off and you go back. And sometimes all you can get is like another 1/8 inch and you got to come out and clean it. You just got to keep doing that until you get your hole down in there because they don't provide really enough clearance to get the sawdust out. Okay, just getting a rough center. Okay, that's got our hole. I should have put a dust mask on. And anytime you're working with sheet metal, be sure and wear gloves because this stuff will cut you like a knife. And here I am without gloves. Okay, so this is one of those moments where you wish you hadn't put the whole thing together first because I would like to get inside there and tack that from the inside. But I don't know, I guess maybe I could do that. We'll see. Okay, so I got it upside down. I set it on a bucket. And we'll see how this goes. This should be interesting. Okay, so while I'm still upside down, you can see all these gaps I've got around the edge, and especially with suction, you got to make sure that you've got real good seals. So I'm going to seal it all with some of this aluminum type duct tape. This is Nashua tape, I don't know. This is just one of the brands. If I can find it, I'll try to put it in the description also. Now when you do this, just use short pieces. If you try to use something really long, it's hard to get it to go around this curve. So see, I can just lay this here And do that and then fold it over like that. And get a good seal, and then go on to the next one. And then I'll just finish this up. Alright, so be sure you get everything sealed up. You even, if you use one of these elbows, you gotta seal these up too, because they leak a lot of air. And this this foil tape is a lot better than duct tape for this kind of thing. If you ever use it, you'll see what I'm talking about. One tip I would tell you though is, don't tear it off like this every time. Keep the paper like this, otherwise you fight forever trying to get the paper off of it. And then at the end, I just tear it off like that. So I've got a bag liner that I put in here, and when I do that, it gets sucked up to the dust collector. So what I've done is I've cut a couple of pieces of wood that I'm going to put down in there like that. Once there's it's probably like a third full of shavings, it doesn't do that anymore. So what I'll do is I'll put this in here like this with the bag, and then the first time that it kind of looks like it's filling up, I'll open it up and I'll be able to slide these out, and then I'll push all the shavings down, close it up, and be able to finish up. And I think that's going to work really well. We'll see. Alright, so here it is with the bag liner in there, and I've got the lid on here. I used to have a ring that clamped on here, but this is in the way of that. I've got another one that it's got a bolt through here, but when I push it down, it seems to seal pretty tight, and once it gets a vacuum on it, it should suck down. I tested it by taking off the top hose, and I still have really good vacuum with it just like this, so this is how I'm going to operate it. This is my setup for planing. I plane it from this planer, and then it comes across my table saw and off onto my table here. So I've got the dust collector that we just finished right here, and then it goes up through that pipe, that white pipe you see, and out through the top up there. And I'll show you outside how it exhausts out there. All right, so you can see right there where it comes out of the wall. Then it runs, there's the blower itself, or the vacuum itself right there. And then I've got a 4-inch PVC pipe that runs out. It's got some guy wires on it that hold it out there, and it comes down, ends right there, and it drops the sawdust right there. Anyway, let's plane some boards and see how well this dust collector does collecting. Okay, so it finally got to where the output was starting to pick up some shavings, so I stopped and opened it up, and this is what we've got. So to me, this is working really well. I'll just take these sticks out, and then I push this down. It looks like I got about a half a barrel, and I'll be able to fill the rest of it up. Okay, so there it is after a day of planing, and I was really happy with it. I did have some issues with the bag still floating up, and the next thing I may try on that would be to take a hose from the upper part and bring it down to the bottom and insert it down here with like a ring in there that's perforated. And I think that may equalize the pressure and keep it from doing that. But anyway, it's a vast improvement from what it was. I get a full barrel. I only have to open it like one time and pack it down, and then I can get a full barrel of shavings before I was having to open it. You know, I'd get a half a barrel, and then it would be, I might have to do it just a dozen times after that to get anywhere near a full barrel. But this is working so much better. Anyway, I hope this was interesting to you. Thank you for watching.